Back at it again. Happy Labor Day, everybody. RIC in the place to be. Rick Saratella. Yeah, for this season 2, part 25, episode 25, part 2. What are we on? 84 edition, I think we're up to. So Rick Saratella with you here on this Labor Day. Hopefully you guys are not laboring as hard as we are here at the NFL Draft Bible as we enter our second decade or third decade, I guess, celebrating 2 decades of independent scout analysis, and we've been working relentlessly. And kudos to the staff. It's unbelievable the amount of emails flowing in from all of my staff here. And so we figured on Labor Day weekend, what better way to celebrate it than prepare you for the upcoming football season, prepare you for the finest talent at the collegiate level coming up in the 2022 NFLPA Collegiate Bowl in January. Get ready for the Hub Football Camp, the premier free agent destination, and also, keeping all of our NFL Draft Bible consulting clients happy, and really just buckling up for the launch of Conference 1 Esports, the largest competitive collegiate esports league on the planet. I'm so proud to be the commissioner. And so we're getting ready for October 4th kickoff on that. Unbelievable what's happening. And so here we are on this September 6th, 2021 of, again, this Labor Day, which was established by the trade unions. And so we got to give a big shout out to all the trade unions out there. Big shout out to Pops, who's watching from up above 40 years at Roofers Local 4. Big shout out to those guys over there. And, here we are buckling up for another Chop Shop Monday, like we do each and every Monday, with another commissioner, the co-commissioner of the Northeast Conference, who joins us here on the Monday State of Football, part of the Fan Nation Network on Sports Illustrated. He is Ralph Ventry, and there he is, that man. Happy Labor Day, Ralph. How are you?
Good to be here. It's game week in the NFL. We had our first weekend of Northeast Conference football at the FCS level. So there's a lot to chop up here on this Labor Day. We got to go to work. I'm sorry to say, Rick, but we got to go to work for the people out there.
Absolutely. That's what we're here for. Buckle up, double chin strap affair. The first of many Mondays, but the last Monday, Ralph, where we won't have NFL to react to. Instead, today we'll preview. We'll get into some of our preseason predictions. We'll have some fun with that. We figured what better way to celebrate than have Nick Fierro, the Sports Illustrated beat writer of those Buffalo Bills. So we'll chop it up with some Buffalo Bills action. But as you alluded to, an exciting, exhilarating week of college football. I saw somebody in the Twitterverse say, hey, if the rest of the season is half as good as week 1, we're in for a treat. So many things to get into. Of course, Notre Dame pulling away with that win over Florida State just last night. Georgia making a big noise with the win over Clemson. We had some Northeast Conference testing, their mettle against some powerhouse FBS schools. And so here we are on this Monday morning, Ralph, before we get into the NFL prediction portion. Where would you like to recap the weekend that was? Oh, boy, what a weekend it was.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the NEC foes, NEC teams, a lot of them taking on FBS foes this past weekend. And then you had Sacred Heart opening up against Patriot League member Bucknell. And Julius Chestnut did his thing, 170 yards in 3 quarters, got dinged on the knee on a touchdown run and didn't play the rest of the game. So we'll keep an eye on his prognosis. But, he had a nice start to his Walter Payton Award candidacy. And as far as the FCS goes, as a subdivision, they had some great wins over the FBS this past weekend. You had Montana over nationally ranked Washington, really a tremendous win for the Big Sky Conference and for FCS. It's always great when you get a financial payday and then a victory on top of that. So, I mean, really, really a great time to be a Montana Bobcat this past weekend. And, you had South Dakota State, who is my national number one. They beat up on Colorado State. A lot of impressive victories by upper echelon FCS teams this past weekend. So that was great to see, without a doubt. I mean, I always have taken an affinity to the underdog throughout my whole life, and I think a lot of people like to see the underdog. But the Montana over nationally ranked Washington, I mean, over a Pac-12 team, that deserves some hype. I don't know if it's quite Appalachian State over Michigan, but really that's an unbelievable victory. And there were other teams. UNLV was knocked off by an FCS team, and there were some other teams that came really close as well. So really a good weekend to start off for the football championship subdivision.
It was a fun, exciting weekend at all levels of play. College football starting off with a bang. Again, this is the state of football here on this Monday, Labor Day, September 6, 2021. We're going to get into some NFL predictions. We're going to get into some college football predictions. We're going to have Nick Fierro, the beat reporter for the Buffalo Bills, and we will take any of your questions, comments, concerns, criticisms over here in the chat room. People, happy Labor Day. Thank you for tuning in, Ralph. So since college football season has kicked off, let's knock out some of these predictions here before Nick joins us in about 10 minutes or so. National championship. I'll kick this off, Ralph, because I'm going to be lame Jane here. I think we saw the best two college football teams in the nation square off on Saturday. I know Alabama's going to have a say about it. Not really too concerned about Oklahoma. Wasn't too impressed with what I saw from Ohio State. Not putting all my eggs in one basket with just 1 week of play. But I am going to predict here on this September 6th that what you saw on Saturday, Clemson and Georgia, is a preview of what you will see come the national championship. I'm going Georgia and Clemson rematch, and I'm going to say that by time they get back around again, Clemson, Georgia, 50-50 shot. Come see me in, January when they play. I might go Georgia, but on this day, I think in the long haul, over the course of the season, Clemson with their up-and-coming talent. However, Georgia, I don't know. They got a nasty defense. They got a heck of a defensive front. They've got depth at running back. They got depth at wide receiver. The quarterback is a little bit suspect right now, JT Daniels. But this Georgia team's going to be a tough out. I'll put it as a coin toss. I know Alabama looked great, but to me, these were the best two teams that I saw after week one. So I'm going to stick with that. Now, if you had asked me last week before I saw this game, maybe it would be different, Ralph. But I can't get it out of my head. It was just such an awesome matchup. So I'm going to go Georgia and Clemson. Your thoughts there, and then how do you see it?
Well, first, I would caution you to not go into any kind of week one overreaction. But with that said, that I focus mostly on the FCS. But when it comes to the FBS, I'll tell you who it's not going to be. And that's LSU. Obviously not a good start for the Tigers. And I can't make a prediction that doesn't include Alabama because they reload every single year. It's a machine. And how many times in the past 10 years have they not only appeared in the national championship game, but won the national championship? So, I'm not going to count them out. So I'm going Alabama against, take your pick. You want to go Georgia, an all SEC championship game? Let's go Alabama, Georgia for the national title.
It could be very possible, no doubt about it. I think Clemson, Georgia, and Alabama are clearly head and shoulders above the rest of the college football universe. All right, Ralph, you mentioned it. Hey, you've got your finger on the pulse with the FCS, South Dakota. Was it South Dakota or South Dakota State? Because I did miss that one. They're your preseason favorite, you said? Who's bringing home the FCS championship in Ralph Ventry's early preseason prediction here?
I'll go with South Dakota State. And you know what? Maybe we'll go with we'll throw Montana in there for as a finalist. Of course, you never know which way the bracket's going to shake out and who's going to land on what side. And obviously, still 10 more weeks to play before we even start talking about the FCS playoff bracket. But I'm going with South Dakota State. And we'll throw Montana in there as a semifinalist or a finalist. Of course, North Dakota State is in the mix, as they always are. The Big Sky has a number of good teams as well. Eastern Washington, Weber State come out east, and teams like Delaware and Villanova would like to think that they can be in the mix for it. So we'll see. It's going to be a great season, but the encouraging part was the week one results show you that these FCS programs, these top level FCS programs are legit. Put some respect on their name. They're not Alabama and Clemson, but they're pretty good. And you know what? Any day of the week, I'd put those guys up against a Mid-American team or a Sun Belt team. And to me, they're right on par with them. The difference is you got 85 scholarships in FBS, 63 in FCS. And, maybe that three deep is stronger on some of those FBS teams. But when it comes to the FCS and the elite players in these elite teams, their top 20 are just as good as the top 20 on any MAC team, any Sun Belt team. I'll argue that. I'll die on that hill any day.
Competitive matchups over the weekend. Weber State is a program you mentioned that seems like it's on the come up. Villanova, who I did get a chance to see in person down there at the Ocean City scrimmage a couple weeks back, the running back looked phenomenal, Covington, and he had a monster day. Villanova romped. Delaware's always tough. I'm not going to sit here and claim to be an FCS expert when it comes to who the top contending teams are. I'm more of a draft observer of the FCS level and can identify the players who we're keeping an eye on. I will say I overreacted to the week one and went with Montana, and I threw James Madison in there just because of, from a consistency standpoint, James Madison is usually in the mix. But I think what Montana did against Washington, and you see Samantha producing from down in Rose Hill. Shout out to Mom Lou down there in North Carolina. Say hello to Oceana. She's switching the turntables on the 1 and 2s if you're watching at home. Montana, and you got to wonder now, the Washington head coach, Nick Rolovich, is facing all kinds of criticism. He apparently, I guess, endorsed some K-Anon group affiliated. There's just all kinds of craziness going on in Washington. But going back to Montana and what they did, again, I can't get it out of my mind, Ralph. Had I not seen, had you asked me a week ago if Montana was going to be in the FCS championship, maybe, I don't know. But James Madison, I went with just a different shade of color here. I'm tired of seeing North Dakota State, who I think is starting number 4 in the polls, which is shocking because they're usually 1 or 2. And, the usual suspects. I guess South Dakota and South Dakota State also with competitive teams this year.
Yeah. Well, your James Madison Dukes are the preseason number 2, and Montana was preseason number 9. So not exactly like they're coming from off the radar. But obviously a win against the Pac-12 team is going to boost your stock no matter where you're ranked in the preseason. My South Dakota State number 1, preseason number 1, they're actually number 3 overall in the preseason rankings, 42-23 win over Colorado State. So,
that's impressive. That's not eking out a victory. That's dominating.
Exactly. In a game that, you're going up against an FBS member and you're likely getting some form of paycheck on top of that. So that's a great way to start off the season. And, Eastern Washington, they beat UNLV. Weber State lost at Utah 40-17, but I can't really knock them at all or drop them in the rankings for losing to Utah. I mean, it's kind of expected. You get a mulligan when you play one of these Power 5 teams. And then, as you mentioned, North Dakota State, they handled Albany. They're always in it. They're kind of like the Alabama of the FCS, if you want to compare over the past 10 years, such a run of dominance. But you always have to keep them in the equation. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But for these top-level teams had a great showings, really, in week 1 against some prime competition. So, off we go. I mean, we get 10, 11 more weeks of this stuff. So,
yeah, and we get another one tonight. Ole Miss in action. College football Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Hey, wait till the action starts up. We got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Hey, it's an everyday affair here on the State of Football. Rick Saratella, Ralph Ventry, breaking it down like we do each and every Monday, reacting to the football weekend, getting you closer to the NFL season. We're inching, we're crawling, we're getting there, Ralph. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 days away from the NFL kickoff, of course. The Buccaneers and Cowboys. I see that line is kind of jumping up in favor of the Buccaneers now. And so maybe we'll get a prediction from you there. Of course, we got NFL predictions later on in the show. Make sure you stay tuned for that. I did pick the Bucs for the Super Bowl last year. Will I do it Stay tuned for that. But first, we have Nick Fierro making the State of Football debut here. Of course, Sports Illustrated beat reporter for those Buffalo Bills, and we're so happy to have him here this morning. A well-respected veteran in the media industry. In fact, Nick covered the Philadelphia Eagles for 17 years, I know, before hopping over to the Bills wagon. And we have Ralph Ventry, who steers the Buffalo Bills wagon. So let's welcome in Nick to the show. Nick, thank you for taking the time on this holiday. Happy Labor Day to you. Where are you checking in from this morning?
From my house, actually, in Lansdale,
PA. You're joined by Ralph Ventry and Rick Saratella, 2 Jersey guys here. But Ralph, being a lifelong Buffalo Bills fan, shall we say suffering Bills fan, Ralph? I know that you've been chomping at the bit to talk to Nick here, so I'll let you kick things off and see what direction you want to go here when we preview the upcoming Buffalo Bills 2021 season, which, oh, by the way, expectations at an all-time high going back to the 90s.
Yeah, well, fortunately, it's a good time to be a Bills fan. You couldn't say that for about 20 years, but they're back and they're for real. And they return a number of key players from last year's AFC Championship team. Or AFC Championship runner-up, I should say. But with that said, there aren't too many questions on the roster. But I did have a couple of questions for our guest. And I'll start off with tight end. He's down in the Philly area, so I'm sure he was tuned into the Zach Ertz rumors earlier in the offseason. And when it comes down to it, there's no Zach Ertz. There's no Jacob Hollister. It's basically Dawson Knox and I guess Tommy Sweeney going with 2 tight ends. And my question is, will the Bills even use a tight end this year? Are they going to go a lot of 4 and 5 wide? I think if they do use a tight end, you're probably looking at Dawson Knox. But is the tight end going to be important to the Bills this year? Because that's one of the positions that I'd say there's a little bit of a question mark.
Yeah, no, I think they'll use the tight end. I don't know how much, but I expect Dawson Knox to have a better season than he did last year. He's really worked on his game. He's one of those guys that came into this offseason. You might want to say that Devin Singletary was another, and AJ Epineza. These guys are kind of like a season on the brink type of guys that have to kind of prove themselves this year. And Knox really did a lot. He had a very good camp. He had such a good camp that they felt that they could get away with making that move to release Jacob Hollister. And so I think they also kept their fullback around who can play tight end too. But this is going to be a team that just lines up and throws it too. They are going to utilize their wide receivers. That's the strength of their offense. Josh Allen throwing to their two guys who made All Pro last year, and another one, Gabriel Davis, an up and coming guy, and we'll see what happens with the other 2 guys. Jake Kumaro made the team this year, and Isaiah McKenzie, I guess, is going to be counted on a lot more in special teams as the returner. So I think they have some really good weapons, and I think their running backs, by the way, are going to be just fine. All these guys that we're talking about, we're thinking that they have to come in and prove themselves. So far, so good as far as what they've done in training camp and the preseason. They've really responded well, and the coaches can't say anything better about them. They still have to go out and do it in the season, but so far it's really looked like they've made a lot of progress. And I would say that Dawson Knox is one of those.
Yeah, to me, certainly the physical ability is there, and it's always been there for Dawson Knox. So hopefully he does put it together this year. Another player you mentioned, Devin Singletary, and I agree with you. He did look really good in the preseason games that I watched. And, of course, there's the question of who will be number 1 in the backfield here, Zach Moss. You throw Matt Breida into the mix. How do you see all this shaking out? I think we can agree that the Bills are probably going to run the ball, pass the ball more than 70% of the time. But with that said, you still need some production from the running back position. They still need to be able to pass protect. How do you see that position shaking out? And how do you see Matt Breida fitting in as a new addition?
I'll answer that second question first. It seems like all the guys love Matt Breida. When he came into the room, they pretty much welcomed him. They both running backs, I remember, made comments this season about how they learned a lot about professionalism watching him prepare. And so it wasn't a deal where he's coming in to take their jobs. He's coming in to enhance that running back room, and I think he has. And But as far as Singletary goes, yeah, he came in knowing that, last year he basically lost his job. By the end of the last season, he had lost his job. He wasn't running the ball as much as Zach Moss, and that trend would have continued through the playoffs if Moss didn't get hurt and they had to turn back to Singletary. But he really came in with a different conditioning program, and I think he's going to be part of the rotation. And what I think the Bills will do, we'll just ride the hot hand. If Singletary's doing well, they'll just stick with him, and and then they'll have to go to another running back for a different series or whatever. Breida or Moss. Moss has dealt with a few injuries, including in this camp. So there's a little bit of uncertainty there, but they could always make an adjustment later. But I think that it's just a pretty good threesome here as far as tailbacks that they have, and they're going to get the job done one way or another.
I wanted to ask one more question about the offense, but before that, Moss had a pretty nasty leg injury in the wild card game against the Colts last year. Do you think he's fully recovered from that yet, or is he kind of still, or are these new nicks and bruises that he's picked up during training camp, or is it still kind of lingering effects from that big injury?
Yeah, well, from my understanding, he's come back from that part of it, and this is all new stuff. So, and it's not considered to be real serious. So, they don't really have anybody, including Isaiah McKenzie, who arm was in a sling last week, who's they would consider to be that they would declare to be out for Pittsburgh. Now that might change today when they come back. And Sean McDermott might update everybody on the injury situation, but none of their injuries, which including Harrison Phillips, the defensive tackle, that was kind of scary. It was the same knee that he ripped up 2 years ago, but they figure that they feel that all of them are not season threatening for sure.
Well, that's certainly great to hear, because that health it goes a long way in the NFL over a 17-game season now. And the one guy you want to keep healthy is Josh Allen. You need to protect him. We talked about the run game, but the protection for Josh Allen and the success of the run game probably hinge on the 5 guys up front. And this was the last part of the offense that I wanted to touch on. You have Deion Dawkins and Darrell Williams at the tackles. They're locked in. You have the multi-million-dollar center, Mitch Morse. He's locked in. But what about these guard spots? I mean, you got Feliciano, but then you have Ike Bucker, who filled in last year. You have Cody Ford, a high draft pick, who's coming off an injury. I've heard mixed reports. Some say he's underwhelming. Some say that he's been just fine. How do you see the guard position shaking out? And how would you grade this unit overall as a line for Buffalo? Is it something they have to worry about at all heading into the season?
I'm one of those guys who think that Cody Ford's just fine. I haven't really seen him struggle that much in the preseason. These guys have different things that they're looking at, though. And, Butker obviously is still in contention to start, along with Feliciano. I guess between those 3, they're going to decide on the 2. My feeling is that it's going to be Feliciano and Cody Ford. And I think that depth-wise, they did some good things. They did some things to help themselves out to draft these 2 tackles. So I think they're going to be fine. The scary thing was Deion Dawkins. I mean, he lost like 15 pounds in that. He was in the hospital with COVID. He thought he was going to die. That's pretty scary. And when he came back, if you remember, Sean McDermott made some comments that he's got a long road ahead of him, to be able to contribute to our team. So he was kind of hinting that he might not be ready to start the season. But the way he's played over the last couple of weeks, he was in there in that final preseason, actually the final 2 preseason games he played. It looks like he's probably on pace to maybe not miss any time. And so, if they get injured, we're not really sure about their backups, because they're going to be going to younger guys, especially on the outside. But, Spencer Brown, I think that they're good on offensive line. How many teams can you say, where if they have some injuries on the offensive line, they're going to be just fine? That's the toughest spot in the NFL to have depth.
Well, hopefully Dawkins is good to go, and I agree with you. He looked pretty capable, especially in the last preseason game, and I know it was hot out there, and they were on the field for a while. They had a couple long, sustained drives. So, but with that said, if he does go down or he's not available, they have to turn to the rookie Spencer Brown. I know that was somebody who Rick was high on coming out of college. He gave the Bills a pretty high draft grade, if I remember correctly. And you were a big fan of Spencer Brown, Rick.
Yeah, I think Spencer Brown and Tommy Doyle actually are both down the road starters. Tommy Doyle is a nasty mauler from Miami, Ohio, who opted out. He was kind of out of sight, out of mind, slid in the draft. Spencer Brown, for my money, hey, we'll see in 5 years. Come call me then. But I had him as the number 13th player in the draft just because of the upside. and that size, that athleticism, that guy's he's grown into that frame, and he's got to eat some crazy ridiculous amount, like 4,000, 5,000 calories a day just to maintain the weight. But this guy's a freak of nature. I did not know that about Dion Dawkins, who is a very good friend of the show, a really great dude and a good guy. So I did not know he caught the COVID. I feel for him there, and glad to see that he's on the come around. We're talking to Nick Fierro, the State of Football debut for the Buffalo Bills on Sports Illustrated. Make sure you go follow Nick on Twitter. We'll get all the website and Twitter plugs here in just a minute. Nick, I'm going to go around the horn a little rapid fire style with some guys that I am curious to hear about. And, I'm going to start off with Ed Oliver, because when he came out of college, I mean, I had teams telling me they like him at middle linebacker, outside linebacker, defensive end, defensive tackle. He could be moved around like a chess piece. Is this the year? Do you foresee Ed Oliver ascending into that top tier of defensive down linemen? Is he ready for a breakout?
I think he's ready to have his best season. Is he going to be in that top tier? That part, I'm not really sure about. But they really like him in that three technique. He was asked. Both coaches were asked. Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier were asked about possibly moving him, around, making him a D end in this defense because he's such a quick player and he can go around people. But they really like him inside, especially now that he'll be surrounded by theoretically a stronger supporting cast. They really felt that not having Star Latulele, am I pronouncing that last name right? Last year, who opted out because of COVID. They really felt that his absence really affected everybody else inside, and especially Ed Oliver, who drew more double teams than he would normally get. And so Oliver's a guy who uses his quickness. He can slide around there and make plays, and he's got, obviously all kinds of talent. I feel like he'll be better than he was as a rookie, which was 2 years ago, and then the production wasn't quite as much last year. And so he's another one of those guys that have come into the season, like I mentioned, Epineza too, and Dawson Knox. All these guys have come in. A bunch of guys have come in with a lot to prove, and so far so good for Ed Oliver as well.
Yeah, I was expecting a little bit higher ceiling. I think that winning kind of has swept it under the carpet, but he's still a very highly productive player. The other guy I want to touch base on, sticking to my Temple Tough days, Tyler Matakovich. This is a very under-the-radar signing, in my opinion. He might be number 52 or 53 on the roster, but he hung out in Pittsburgh for quite some time, playing all four special teams units. He could jump into that linebacker spot in a pinch if you need him to. Is he going to have that same kind of role here in Buffalo?
Yeah, I think so. You mentioned Temple. I grew up right up the street from Temple, the old Temple Stadium. I was a Temple fan from the time I was 6 years old, and we snuck into every game, watched it for free. But anyway, Matakovich, I don't really see him playing with the defense much because the Bills only really ever play two linebackers for the most part. And so unless there's some changes made down the road there, they don't know. I don't know about the long-term future of Tremaine Edmonds, but they have Matt Milano obviously re-signed. But Matakovich is going to be a special teams ace. And, there was no question as to whether he was going to make the team because of that. And I'm not really sure about his role in the defense, though.
Yeah, I just think he's a solid dude in the locker room. But yeah, I mean, there's great value on that special teams and what he contributes, and he did it for a long time in Pittsburgh. I think he was up there. Him and Slater are always up there with the tackles on special teams, league leaders, for those of us who like to pay attention to that kind of stuff. Nick Fierro here on the State of Football, part of the Fan Nation Network on Sports Illustrated. One more for you here on my end, Nick. You speak to the depth of this team. It's incredible. I go over to the and I agree that I think the offensive line is really good if Dawkins is healthy. Then I look at the practice squad. There's some really good young developmental players, and I could rattle off a lot of names. But again, one guy who I got a chance to see out of Oregon State, Isaiah Hodgins. This guy, I mean, he was attracting NFL scouts out there like a magnet when I went and saw him. He came out as a junior, had high expectations. I found it surprising that they're able to stash a caliber of that talent down there on the practice squad. What have you heard from Isaiah Hodgins? How did his training camp go? Has he developed at all? I really don't know what his progression has been like since he came out of the draft. What are you hearing? What are you seeing there, Nick?
Yeah, that was probably one of their toughest cuts, but definitely one of the toughest cuts. And obviously has some experience too. I mean, he played with this team. So, yeah, they just have a numbers issue at wide receiver. But who knows? I mean, they might make a move this week if if Isaiah McKenzie can't go, and you might see him up there. As a what they're allowed to do now with practice squad promotions. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Hodgins right in week one. He could play.
Yeah, he's got a lot of talent, size, speed. If you're watching at home, just tapping into that potential. But as you mentioned, Madonna mia, Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, Gabriel Davis, Emmanuel Sanders, unbelievable. Suddenly, all these weapons there in Buffalo. And I was a big Scooter fan of Devin Singletary coming out of FAU. I think he's one of the best yards after contact runners around. I think he's going to be okay. I think Zach Moss, going back to his Utah days, it's like anything that guy gives is a bonus. I wouldn't count on anything for him. If you get any gas out of the tank, hey, that's a bonus. I think Singletary's your guy. I think Breida's a great change of pace slasher type of back. And I might have the Buffalo Bills going to the Super Bowl. We're going to get into our predictions in just a minute here. But, Nick, before we let you go, plug the website, plug the Twitter, plug anything else you got coming out, please.
Well, sure. SI.com Bills. We have a website for every team. Our previews are coming out. Our season previews are coming out tomorrow all across the board. And so I'll be ready to go. Look for that in the morning, Tuesday morning. So what else were you saying about just follow me on Twitter, Nick Fierro, all one word, FIERRO, and trying to get into it a little bit more. I really think the team is on the brink here of doing something. And just as far as the roster goes, I wasn't. I just. I obviously wasn't around the Bills in the 90s when they went to 4 straight Super Bowls, but this roster might be the best that they've had in terms of on paper. They don't have a Hall of Fame running back, like they had, and they don't have a Hall of Fame, maybe not yet wide receiver yet. But I think they have the makings of that, and obviously the quarterback has a chance to be as good or better than Jim Kelly. And, they don't have that Hall of Fame pass rusher either, but they have, just in terms of depth and all around players, they compare pretty well. And so, I really do like them. I think it's interesting too. Maybe we're going to segue here into the previews, into our forecast, how each team, the two top teams last year in the AFC, are concentrating on things that obviously the Kansas City Chiefs wanted to bolster their offensive line. They needed to protect the quarterback better. We saw that in the Super Bowl. They really went out and revamped their whole offensive line. What did the Bills need to do? They need to rush the passer better. And so they go out and draft a couple guys. They get on Ebenezer. They feel he's going to have a breakout year. Ed Oliver, the whole thing. That's going to be a big deal. Which team did better in that respect? And if they face each other again, it could come down to how well Kansas City protects against Buffalo's revamped pass rush.
How about we end on this note, Nick? It really has been a pleasure speaking with you today. I won't ask you for a record prediction, but if all goes right, how many games do you see the Bills winning? And if all goes wrong, what's kind of their floor? What's the cap? What's the floor for the 2021 Bills?
Mm-hmm. I see 13-4, and that's everything going right. I was looking at the schedule. It's not that great. It's not that big a deal. That they're at least looking at it now. There's always going to be some teams that come up there and surprise you, but I count 9 games in the schedule against teams that are turning to different quarterbacks this year, either rookies or different quarterbacks. that's a big deal. I mean, to me, they're not facing any teams coming off buys. The way the schedule shakes out too, they can get well at the end. If they stumble a little bit, they have 3 out of their last 4 at home. What can go wrong? COVID. That's my biggest concern. This is probably the least vaccinated team in the NFL based on just what we can tell. We don't obviously have all that info. And, we saw what happened, heading into that final preseason game. They had to send 5 guys home. And that could be a thing. Look, they're keeping 4 quarterbacks on this team, 2 on the active roster. They both guys that they brought back, Jake Fromm and Davis Webb, to the practice squad. So what's that saying? They're not going to have for now, the plan is they're not going to have the quarantine quarterback like they did with Fromm last year. But the fact that they have 4 quarterbacks ready to go in the building is saying something. So, obviously injuries too, but I would worry about more along the lines of, things happening week to week, that they get, some bad news on Wednesday or Thursday, and then they have to make some last minute adjustments.
All right, Nick. Well, hey, that was a fun-filled factoid segment there on the Buffalo Bills. I am with you there. 13 wins. I'm right there with you. I think that's a sweet spot for the upcoming season, and COVID, I think, will be a determining factor in terms of how healthy are they going into the playoffs. We appreciate the time here. Any plans here on this Labor Day, Nick?
No, just take it easy. I want to maybe I watch some college football. When I covered the Eagles all those years, Saturday was basically my only day off, and I would spend that on the golf course. But maybe I'll watch a little bit of college.
There you go. A little college football action tonight as we count you down to the NFL regular season. That's Nick Fierro covering you with the Buffalo Bills. Make sure you check them out, si.com/Bills. And, of course, thank you, Nick. And, of course, tomorrow's the team previews for all the Sports Illustrated team publishers. So we're excited about that. I think they're going to be released at 9 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. All right. We got Big Daddy Salgado coming up in just a minute to talk about a celebrity golf event coming this Thursday where the NFL Draft Bible will be on location. I'm excited to pop him on. Hang tight with us, Big Daddy, in the virtual green room. I know his brother, Jim Salgado, up there at the Buffalo Bills, defensive line coach, will be happy to hear about 9 different quarterbacks starting on their opponent's schedule this season. So Coach Salgado is going to be looking to take advantage of that. Now, Ralph, we're going to go a little rapid fire style. We did it last year, little NFL preseason predictions around the horn here. We'll just run through some categories. You tell me what you think. I'll tell you what I think. Let's just run right through it and kick it off. NFL MVP, who do you got?
Josh Allen.
He's not a Hall of Famer yet, but give me 5 more like last year and he will be, right?
Yeah, give me. All right, let's go. We go. All
right, you got Josh Allen. I'm gonna go Tom Brady again. A little foreshadowing here. Everybody wants to say Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, but I'm still sticking with the GOAT. All right, let's go. NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Is there really a better player? And I think Aaron Donald won it last year. Is there really a better player than Aaron Donald in this day and age?
No, I mean, he's obviously the clear-cut favorite, but it's getting kind of boring. Maybe I'd like to see a new name out there. I don't know. Let's go with one of the Bosa brothers, maybe. How about that?
All right, fair enough. One of them, I think Nick is a candidate for comeback player of the year, so maybe Joey Bosa with the defensive player of the year. Somebody's got to step up and take that. We saw Chandler Jones bust out in a big way a couple years ago. All right, let's go NFL Rookie of the Year. Now, I was leaning towards Najee Harris the entire preseason, Ralph, but I just like what I see from Trevor Lawrence so much. He's so poised. I don't want to overthink this thing. I think Trevor Lawrence could have a historic rookie season. Who do you got?
I think that it's slanted toward a quarterback. This award, especially if a quarterback gets a number of starts. Obviously, Lawrence is going to get the opportunity in Jacksonville if he stays healthy, and if he's just adequate, he'll probably get the award. Unless somebody else comes out of nowhere But you did mention Harris. Harris is a reasonable pick as well because he's going to get the bulk of the carries in Pittsburgh's offense. And they'll probably run the ball a lot. But, yeah, I'll go with Harris if you're going with Lawrence. How about that?
All right, fair enough. Defensive Rookie of the Year. The most impressive player I saw was Micah Parsons of the Dallas Cowboys. I had my questions coming out of the draft, but he's made me a quick believer here. Do you see anybody else contending for that title?
Well, I'm going to be a homer with this one. I'm going Gregory Rousseau of the Buffalo Bills. He provides.
Of course you are.
He's a physically he's a freak. I mean, this guy, he's got the long arms. He's just all he has to do is basically stand there, and he's already in the quarterback's face. So I love what I've seen from him during the preseason, and we'll go with Greg Rousseau for now.
All right. Well, hey, Ed Oliver, Star Lotulelele, AJ Epinenza, Gregory Rousseau, who's going to have plenty of opportunity to capitalize on some one-on-one pass rush situations. NFL Comeback Player of the Year. It's a little tough here, Ralph. I mean, you could go Saquon Barkley. You could go Dak Prescott. I went Christian McCaffrey. I don't know if he qualifies. He got injured in the third game last year, so, I mean, he did miss 13 games. But to me, out of all the injured players who are coming back from the mend, so to speak, I feel most confident about Christian McCaffrey.
I'll go Dak Prescott just because I think he'll put up the numbers. He'll put the numbers up that you need to win one of these awards. They're going to throw a lot, and he had some kind of video game-like numbers before he got hurt last year, and that kind of was a nasty-looking injury. So I'll go with Dak Prescott, although I will say they had all those numbers and great stats, but not a lot of wins, and I don't think that changes. I'm not a big believer in the Cowboys, but I believe Dak will get his, and just the fact that he came back from such a gruesome injury, he'll win the award.
All right, fair enough. Hard to argue with that sentiment. Ralph Entry, Rick Saratella, NFL preseason predictions. 2 more to go here, Ralph. NFL Coach of the Year. I have a feeling where you might be going here.
You know what? I'll go Ron Rivera. How about that? I like what I see from the Washington football team. I think if they get up to double-digit wins, if they can get to 10 wins, with Ryan Fitzpatrick as the quarterback, and let's go with Ron Rivera. He's a feel-good story, cancer survivor, and all this good stuff. So we'll go there, although I do think that Sean McDermott does deserve some love for what he's done up there. The process over there in the past 4 years, what the Bills have done has been amazing. They got the best nickel coach, D-backs coach in the game in Salgado. So I know Big Daddy's waiting in the wings here. We won't keep him much longer.
Yeah, I knew we were gonna get a McDermott reference there. All right, so I'm gonna go Bruce Arians, which is a precursor to my Super Bowl prediction, Ralph. So I will kick it off. I went terribly wrong with the Raiders a year ago, but I was terribly right with the Buccaneers. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm going to stay with the Bucs, and I'm going to go with, who did I have yesterday? It changes on a day-to-day basis. You'll like this one. It fits with the theme of the show. I'm picking the Buffalo Bills, Ralph. Circle the wagons. I got Bucs over the Bills. You won't be happy with the end result, but I got them in the big dance.
Well, of course I have the Bills finally making it back for the first time since Super Bowl 28. And as far as their opponent, the Bucs, the Packers, they're the sexy picks, I guess you could say. I'm going to kind of go off the radar a little bit. Let's go with the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson resurfaces. Let's go with Russ and the Seahawks against Josh Allen and the Bills. And I think we all know who wins that game. Yeah, let's go, baby. NFL game week 1. Game week. This is beautiful. What a time to be alive, Rick. What a time to be alive.
It is. It's an amazing time, and we appreciate the time each and every Monday here. Before we get you out of here, Ralph, you're not going to be with us the rest of the way this week. Do you have a Thursday night football prediction for all the people at home clamoring for some NFL action? We got the Bucks. We got the Cowboys. It's about 7.5 right now as it speaks. How do you see that situation going?
Yeah, now you hear Zach Martin may not play for the Cowboys. I don't know how much an offensive lineman moves the Vegas line, so to speak. But I'll go with the Bucks to prevail in this one by a touchdown. Kind of low scoring and ugly to start off with on a Thursday night.
All right, last one for you before we get you out of here. We mentioned the Northeast Conference kicked off against some FBS heavyweights this past weekend. I know you're back in the office here on this beautiful Labor Day. What do we got cooking this upcoming weekend? I haven't peeked at the schedule just yet. What's the game of the week? What's going to be streaming on NEC Front Row? Where can we find all the action at?
Well, we actually have 2 conference games this weekend. We dip our toe into the conference schedule. We have a featured game on the ESPN app, ESPN3. It's Sacred Heart, the defending champs, at Bryant, up in Rhode Island, 7 o'clock Saturday night. And if you want to tune into the broadcast, you'll have Paul Dottino and Coach Kevin Gilbride will be in the booth for that one. So tune in, Sacred Heart at Bryant, 7 p.m. Saturday night. I'm hoping to make the trip up there myself and back on the circuit, back at it again. It feels good.
Oh, baby. Yeah, make sure you get up to Federal Hill over there in good old Providence, Rhode Island while you're at it. I know we'll be excited to see Julius Chestnut, the exciting playmaking running back there. By the way, Samantha, did we reach out to Bobby Valentine to come on? When is that election? I know the Stanford mayor election is coming up. We gotta make that happen. But hey, Ralph, safe travels. Be careful out there. We appreciate the time so much, and we'll chop it up again later on this week on the NEC Chop Shop.
All right, thanks for having me, Rick. Glad to be back at it, and give my best to Big Daddy.
Definitely will. That is Ralph Ventry, Mr. NEC, Mr. Buffalo Bill, and of course the co-commissioner of the Northeast Conference, who joins us here each and every Monday on the State of Football, part of the Fan Nation Network on Sports Illustrated. And I wanted to get Ralph out of here because he has to shoot up to the office there in good old northern New Jersey, and we'll be making the trek here a little bit further north out into Long Island for the Big Daddy Celebrity Golf Classic. And here to speak to us today is a longtime good time friend, Richard Big Daddy Salgado, joining us on the State of Football, part of the Fan Nation Network on Sports Illustrated. Good morning, Big Daddy. How are you today?
I'm good, Rick. How are you doing, my man?
I'm good. Happy Labor Day to you. We appreciate you joining us here on a holiday. You got a lot of Buffalo Bills talk here before we get into the golf outing. I know you're excited for the Buffalo season. A lot of excitement for Bills fans. A lot of excitement for the Salgado family and Coach Jim over there. And what are you hearing from your brother in terms of the sense inside the locker room?
Well, you know what? They're excited. You know, there's a season now, and you have fans, and it's let's get after it already, because you know how training camp is. You're going against your teammate all the time, and you as a coach, you can't really evaluate that because you need a change of pace. So having the now the games coming up, and they're ready to go. It's like they've been boggled up or locked up for so long. Now they're ready to do it. So it's exciting.
It is exciting. I've got them going to the big dance, and it's exciting times for Maryland. We see the shirt there, of course, going back to your collegiate playing days there for the Terrapins. They get off to a nice early season victory. Coach Loxley seems to be on the brink of turning this program around. What's your sentiment there?
You know what? As he says, you got to get locked in. So I think all the fans are locked in. I think the players are locked. Everybody is just raring to go. And, you got to take it one game at a time. The Big Ten, it's a tough place to be. You've got the usual suspects there with Ohio State and Michigan and, Iowa. I think Iowa is one of those teams that is always there, but they don't get the respect that they should. That program is steady every year. They may not win the Big Ten, but they are there every year. I don't want to jinx them. One of my friends works there, but they always seem to be in the mix. But Maryland, I was actually trying to get down there this past weekend, and I just couldn't because I got so much on my plate this week, obviously, with everything going on. So Neil O'Donnell and I were actually speaking, which you'll see him on Thursday. We were talking yesterday. We're like, we got to get down to a game. We haven't been to a game. It's been a minute since we were down there. I think I know exactly. The game that we went to was the game when they played Miami, and Miami, half their team was ineligible. It was like about 5, 6, 7 years ago. And then to make matters worse, it was like a downpour. The game started off nice, then all of a sudden a monsoon came in. Thank God we were in the press box, but that was that.
Well, you mentioned Neil O'Donnell, the pride of Madison, New Jersey. They still got his poster hanging up, by the way, there when you go into Romanelli's across from the train station over there. So big shout out to Neil O'Donnell.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to seeing him this Thursday. So you mentioned you got a lot on your plate. Let's talk about it because you've been so kind to join us here on this holiday. 3 days away from the Big Daddy Celebrity Golf outing in association with the NFL season kickoff. What better way to celebrate this great game of football and the ability to have a platform and pass it forward to others, Big Daddy?
Well, our original plans were to have this event in June, which is when we normally have it. But we, with all the COVID stuff and the protocols and people being afraid and whatnot, last minute we had to change. But, we're excited to be back, and we're going to pull this off and, raise some money. And I have all my usual suspect friends coming. Michael Strahan, we got Tracy Morgan's coming. Hisham Tafik from the Blacklist, he's coming, and we add a little country music to this thing. We got Jillian Carter-Alley, the country music star, she's coming, and then we added a whole other different twist to this. We added a women's empowerment luncheon, while the men and while the golfers, because we have some women golfing, while the golfers are out, golfing. My co-host, Angelika Steen-Olsen, she's going to host, a luncheon, and they're going to have some guest speakers there, and they're going to tell some stories, and they got a lot going on. We have a lot going on that day, so it's going to be fun. We're excited.
Unbelievable the amount that's happening there at Oheka Castle out in Long Island. You can still get your tickets. Oh, by the way, we'll put the link up for that and talk about where you can get your tickets for the upcoming Big Daddy Celebrity Golf Tournament this Thursday. You mentioned the Share Empowerment Group doing great things there. If you're watching at home, you're seeing some highlights here from some guests who will be attending the golf outing. I'm seeing Mike Tyson and Ronnie Lott. Have they been added to the list here too, Big Daddy?
No, Mike was not available, so we've also condensed our guest list because due to travel and where people are coming from. So and then being that the start of football season is that Thursday, we went with a much confined group, but you'll still get the same bang for your buck.
No doubt about it. And it all goes to a great cause doing big things. The Big Daddy Celebrity Golf outing here at Oheka Castle in Huntington, New York. Oheka Castle, Big Daddy. When Big Daddy does it, he does it big. Tell us about this venue. How did you secure this spot?
Well, we've had our event there, in the past, because we obviously took a year. We took a break. And the owner there, Gary Milius, and his family have always welcomed us with open arms, and they're like family to us. So, why change? I mean, there's so many places that were like, hey, Big Daddy, we'd love to have you. We'd love to have you. We'd love to have you. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, everybody talks about the venue when I first introduced it to a lot of my people, they were like, wow, where did this place come from? How did it, where has it been? How'd you do this, that, and all the other questions that everyone asks? And it's just great because the golf course is there. Everything is in one area. So you don't have to travel. You don't have to, play golf at one place and go to another place to have a gala or an event. So that's why we love it there.
Yeah, it's really a big deal. It's a gorgeous venue, and just the list of celebrities and athletes and people attending this event is incredible. If you're watching at home, the list goes on and on and on. Take us to the origin of the Big Daddy Golf Classic. Big Daddy, I know you had to take a year off from doing this event, but obviously you've made so many great connections during your time working in the football and entertainment world. How did the golf event come about originally?
Well, it's well documented that in 2008 I had suffered an aneurysm, and knock on wood, I'm here. I survived. Had surgery, and then I was brought to the hospital to visit it. And the doctor who operated on me, Dr. David Chaliff, he wanted to raise money to build a special aneurysm center, and it involved kids. So when I went to see the kids, it really hit home because here I was, probably about 7 or 8 months removed. I had, very bad scarring, which they did a great job, but you don't really see it. But and when I saw these kids have the same ordeal that I had, I was like, wow, it kind of hit home. So I got together with a friend of mine, Bob Broderick, and we were like, hey, do you think we could pull off a golf outing and raise some money for this place? And 5 months or 4 months later, we had a golf outing. So that's how that whole thing started, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger as the years went on, and then we had everybody from who's who coming, and we had people coming all the way from the West Coast. That's how big it got, and so we're working on it. We're having it this Thursday. But we're also going to go back to our original date of June. We'll pick a date, and that way we can have the active players that are currently playing attending, because you and I both know that those names are the ones that draw the people, that draw the contributions and the donations, and it draws the interest of not only the media but the public. So those are the things that we look forward to. This week, and also going forward.
Breaking news here on the State of Football, part of the Fan Nation Network on Sports Illustrated. I love it. So we already have the 2022 on the calendar. Put it on there for June. Big Daddy's announcing that right now, and do us all a huge favor and reserve your seat. You see the website there, BigDaddyGolfClassic.com. Is that the best way to get tickets for Thursday here, Big Daddy?
Yes, it's the best way to get tickets, and we got some left, and we even got a few foursomes left. So if you're interested in bringing your golf game and playing with celebrities, go to the website and get on there, and make sure you join us, because it's going to be a fun day, a beautiful golf course. We've got great sponsors. We've got you name it. It's happening. So we'd love to have you out there.
Yeah, Michael Strahan.
You're going to be there joining us. So
I'll be out there. Michael Strahan will be out there. Tracy Morgan will be out there. I wonder which guy doesn't fit in that equation. But hey, I'm just happy that you are putting this event on, Big Daddy, doing great things for a tremendous cause. And we're so thankful for you to pull this off, especially during the pandemic, still here with the COVID still going around. So we appreciate you hosting this event, and we appreciate everything that Coastal Advisors LLC is doing, and providing the NFL Draft Bible Familia, myself included, with
Yeah.
insurance, and also celebrities, athletes, aspiring draft prospects, current NFL clients, coaches. You name it, you've got clients from all endeavors, from all walks of life. Tell us a little bit more about Coastal Advisors.
Well, obviously everybody knows me in regards to the athlete world, with insurance and everything. And by the way, yes, you're now a client, so welcome on board. And we love that you're part of the family, so that's good. And we listen, we protect people in all forms and all from all walks of life. I have a mailman as a client. And we're not only just athlete insurance, we are also insurance of cars, insurance of homes, everything from A to Z. So it's not like I'm just looking for athletes. My partner, Chris Muro, we have an office in Florida as well, in Boca Raton, and we talk to people daily. I mean, we review insurances. People sometimes feel that they don't have enough. They don't have the right product. It wasn't sold to them correctly. And a lot of times, some of them don't even have an understanding of what they bought. So we try to educate our clients and also, share our thoughts. And if something's not broken, then we don't try to fix it. That's the one thing that we really try to not hard sell people and try to make people change. It's just for our benefit. It's their benefit, and it's to their benefit. I'm sorry, and we try to educate and show them that we're here for them.
Now, Chris is a good dude, and I can tell you, when you are looking to get insurance, you want somebody who's reliable, and Coastal Advisors' reputation precedes them, and so I know I'm in good hands. And so it's fascinating, though, Big Daddy, because we do cater to the football audience, obviously, here on the State of Football, part of the Fan Nation Network on Sports Illustrated. And of course, NFL Draft Bible Consulting, we talk with agents and players. But as you know, there was an all time record new agents taking the NFLPA exam this summer. And we've spoken with quite a handful of them that really still don't know how to guide their players when it comes to insurance. It's still somewhat foggy to them. So, for those new agents, for those current agents, for those players coming out for the draft process next year, explain to the listening audience at home when you should get insurance, why you should have insurance, and what does it exactly mean?
Well, when you're a college kid, it's the old saying. It's if someone handed you $1 million at 18 years old, what would you do with it? You don't know. You have this bunch of money, but you don't know really, like, do I go do this? Do I do that? What do I do? Okay, so here, when a kid's coming out of college, they have to realize that they're an entity, okay, and if they're graded high and they have a high value or high grade, I'm sorry, they need to protect themselves. Okay, so now what a lot of parents don't know is that the NCAA offers insurance to potential draft picks. Okay, you can go and get an insurance policy, and they give you certain limits. You're not going to buy 20, 30, 40. It doesn't work that way. The highest that you can most likely get, depending on who you are, is $5 million. Okay, well, the other thing that a lot of these athletes and parents don't know is that you can take out this insurance without having any money right now, because they would approve you for a loan. Okay, so let's say, Rick, you're the player, you're at Ohio State, you're a top 10 pick. Then you get insurance. There's a loan that's set up automatically for you, but you don't receive the money. The money goes directly from the bank to the insurance carrier. Okay. Now, Rick, you play a whole year. Everything's great. You're going to be a first-round pick. You get drafted. You sign your contract. You repay that loan back to the lender. And the lender's a legitimate bank. It's not dirty. There's nothing hidden or anything like that. but you will pay that loan back. So that's option one. Then you have because most of these children, most of these athletes, come from backgrounds where the parents are not well-to-do and have a lot of money. And I've insured some kids where the parents have just paid the premium. Here's a check, boom. So you have that option. I think the big, mystery out there right now, and I'm not afraid to say this openly, is that now you have the colleges telling the players, we'll pay for your insurance. We'll take out the policy. Rick, Ohio State says to you, here's the insurance. Don't worry about it. We got it. You don't have to pay back a loan. Now, you get hurt and you don't get drafted and you can never play football again. Your insurance policy is $1 million. Out of that $1 million, you're going to get taxed on that $1 million because you did not write the check. The school did. It becomes their accountants will say that there's a way to get around all that and this and that. But at the end of the day, why do you want to get it yourself put in a position where it may come back and bite you in the ass? If you can afford the insurance, buy it. If you could take out a loan to cover your butt, at least allow you to go to sleep at night knowing, God forbid, something happens, I'm covered. Then you go get the loan and you have the insurance and boom, you take care of it later on.
Wow, that's interesting. And again, that's why you need to go to Coastal Advisors LLC, because they are experts in this arena. And, who the heck is sitting down, breaking down these contracts and finding out the details of what it entails? Coastal Advisors is already done that for you clearly. And, they're the best in the game. That is interesting stuff there. So I look at Kavon Thibodeaux from Oregon, who arguably is in contention to be the number one pick now.
Yeah, he got rolled with ankle. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it looks like he's gonna bounce back from that. But if he's not insured and he's out for the season, he could literally cost himself quite a significant payday there in the wallet. And I think, once you do get to the pros and become an NFL player, hey, it's my opinion, you can never have enough insurance. So make sure you hit up Big Daddy, and of course, doing big things on Fox and Friends, Big Daddy and things, podcasts. What else you got cooking over there, Big Daddy?
That's enough, man. I'm wearing my T-Mobile hat. Obviously, they are a big sponsor of ours, and actually, if you go to the website today, BigDaddyGolfClassic.com, you can enter to win a free foursome at the golf outing. So I would tell all your listeners and viewers to go out there and, hey, register. You never know, man. You can win a foursome, and you can play around the golf with celebrities, and then join us that evening for the gala, and eat, drink, fun, be merry, and help us raise money. And it's free if you just enter your name at BigDaddyGolfClassic.com. It's sponsored by T-Mobile.
When is the T-Mobile raffle going to be held, Big Daddy?
It's on right now, and it ends tonight at midnight. So you got all day to get your name in there, and we'll announce the winner tomorrow, and it'll be it's a great opportunity. It's free.
All right, so you're telling me I got a shot. You got a shot. Get in by tonight. T-Mobile's going to be raffling off a foursome. What a great value package that is. And if you miss out on it, just go to BigDaddyGolfClassic.com. Reserve your tickets. It's for a great cause. Big Daddy doing big things. As always, we'll see you in a few days there, Big Daddy. Thank you so much. And happy Labor Day, by the way. What do you got going on today? You working like me on Labor Day?
Yeah, I got to work, man. There's no off day. I've got to make sure the food's right for Thursday. The alcohol's right. Angelique and I got a lot to do today. So, it is what it is. And, you take it, you know what? It's an honor to do what we're doing. And, it's exciting stuff. So it's, I'm excited. I may not sound excited, but I am excited. Trust me.
It's the sound of early morning exhaustion, Big Daddy. It's like I'm gonna get a meat grinder and just put it right here because that's what we do. We just make the sausage all day long throughout the Labor Day weekend. It's the lifestyle we choose because we just love what we do. And so kudos to the great game of football. Big shout out to Big Daddy. And we will see you in 3 days over at Ohika Castle in
You got
Huntington, New
it.
York.
I can't wait. So until then, enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for having me on.
You too, Big Daddy. Take care. We appreciate it. There you go. Big Daddy, one of the best in the business, uh, a friend, a business associate, an insurance provider, and just truly a first class act. And just so grateful and thankful for all the great things that Big Daddy's doing in the football community, in the Long Island community, and heck, in society in general. You heard him, people coming from all over the country to attend the Big Daddy Celebrity Golf Outing. Of course, June now is the 2022. It's on the radar now. It's like a draft prospect. Put him on the radar. Um, so we're looking forward to that. What another great show here on this September 6th, 2021, Labor Day. It is a Monday. We'll be back at it again tomorrow, which is a tutorial Tuesday. We'll have Russ Landy joining us to break down some more college football from the past weekend. We'll discuss some NFL hot topics. We'll get into the Hub Football Camp, which, oh, by the way, is 23 days away out in Los Angeles. Yes, we've gone a little bit up the coast there from San Diego to LA. And so Don Yee doing great things with the Hub Football Camp. And also, I made an announcement yesterday there on Twitter that it's such an honor and a privilege to be working with the folks at Hub Football, providing a platform for free agent players to get seen and work out in front of NFL teams. I mean, last time I checked, it was at a 23 percentile clip, almost 1 out of 4 guys getting picked up by the NFL or CFL. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. And I think when you look back at this era in history, and you go back to all the developmental leagues and all the startup alternate NFL organizations that have been attempted over the last decade alone. This has been the most successful platform I've ever seen. And to do it and navigate it through the COVID pandemic, man, I can't wait to see the impact we leave. And, this is something that's here to stay. So the next endeavor is, we've provided this platform and, paved the way for free agent players to now, we created a loophole, right? The back door to get into the NFL facility, right? Because they can only have 5 players every Tuesday on the Gong Show inside the building. So the next step of evolution in the Hub Football Camp is working with aspiring scouts or developing younger scouts. I can tell you, the scouts at Blesto and National, they got a lot to learn. I've seen the grades. And so we're working and talking to some of the NFL teams about sending some of their younger scouts to learn from the Hub football staff, Russell Landy, myself included, so many great individuals behind this, Don Yee, Tom Goodhines, Jamie Hyman. You never know who's going to be walking around, Jim Barker, and just so many great folks just hanging out at the Hub Football Camp. Well, now you can come and experience it. You can come learn what to look for, how to identify traits and characteristics, what are the attributes that we judge every single player on, regardless of the position. You'll get that hands-on experience. Heck, you may even get a chance to measure a couple guys. I don't know. It's Russell Landy's show, so make sure you get at him at Russell Landy. But we're excited to bring this to the forefront, and the first scout camp will be limited. It's something we're doing for the first time, so we'll grow it and expand it just like we do everything at Hub Football Camp. But go to hubfootball.com. I believe it's /scout-camp. Amanda, do you have, or Samantha, do you have that link? And we'll be out in LA. So that's September 29th. This is going to be an ongoing thing. So if you're interested in signing up for the entire shebang, make sure you let Russ know. And so we're excited about that. We're excited about the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl coming in January 2022. That's going to also be in Los Angeles. So this New Jersey guy will be living the bi-coastal life a little bit here this upcoming season. And so we also have the NFLDraftBible.com. If you're not subscribed, do it now. You will receive access to, I think we're up to like 300 or 400 scouting reports for 2022 and beyond. So just the best resource there is. Again, 2 decades now of independent scouting analysis. This will be our 20th NFL draft cycle. It's unbelievable. And so, NFL Draft Bible Consulting, you can, thank you, Tom, for dropping the link in the chat room there if you want to learn more about the scout camp. And, NFL Draft Bible Consulting also doing big things. Shout out to Mook Williams and all his help for all the assistance we've been able to provide out there in the football community. And stay tuned, October 4th, the Esports Conference 1 season is kicking off. You can tell both Big Daddy and myself are a little bit gassed here. That's what happens when you work around the clock, trying to bring you all these great events and products and experiences. And the Conference 1 esports experience is going to be nothing like I've never, ever been involved with. I mean, we're talking to people all over the world in terms of making this the NCAA football of esports. That's exactly what Collegiate Conference 1 Collegiate Esports is going to be about. And we're proud to cover it here on Sports Illustrated. So we may even have some esports guests throughout the week. So stay tuned for that. Tomorrow we'll have Russell Landy. Wednesday we will have a international flavor with Amanda Ruler and Chris O'Leary of the CFL. And we'll have a European League of Football representative. So we'll get international on Wednesday. Then we'll bring it back around again on Thursday, of course, with the usual suspects, Dane Vandernat, Executive Director of the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl, and Neil Stratton, CEO of InsideTheLeague.com. And then, of course, it's a Football Friday affair with Big Law. And so, hey, the producer, big shout out to Samantha. She's giving me the hook. She's telling me to cut it off. She's down there at Mom Lou's in Rose Hill, North Carolina, producing remotely. So we appreciate a great job once again. And so, hey, it's been an hour of power plus overtime, bonus coverage. We can't stop. We don't know how to stop. Hopefully you enjoy your Labor Day. It's amazing. I left North Jersey this morning. I came down to this great island of the Jersey Shore. Don't you know, as soon as I came over the bridge, the rain went away. The clouds disappeared. The sun is out. It's looking like a beach day, maybe the last one of the year before the start of the 2021 NFL season. It's been my pleasure to be here today on this Labor Day, September 6, 2021. A couple birthdays. Don't kill me, Samantha. Let's give a shout out to Bob Stoops, Ryan Shazier, Mark Andrews, a couple guys there. Ryan Clady, I see. Eric Zaire. Some really good football birthdays on this Labor Day that we wanted to give a shout out. Mad love to all of our chat room people today. Tommy Goodhines, Craig T. Smith, Big Law in the building. We see you out there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Keep it locked. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.